I was working here for a big company in Germany, and this company sent me to Indonesia for working. And I had no idea about Indonesia at this time and no idea about Islam, and even not that Indonesia is the biggest Muslim country in the world. So I went there, had no idea what will come, and I was faced with Islam from the roots, let's say, in Indonesia. So I saw my colleagues who went 5 times a day for praying, who went to the mosque on Friday, and I was kind of impressed of this deep belief the people had, and of this belief rooted in the life. When they did their work, they started with Bismillah. I heard Alhamdulillah, Subhanallah all the time in the conversation, and I was deeply impressed about this. And my fellow colleagues, as I was interested, they told me about Islam, and they made, let's say, the perfect dawah without pushing me into any direction. They said, come on, go with us. You can see how we are praying. You can come to the mosque with us on Friday. Just sit on the back side of the mosque and look and listen what the imam is saying there. And I also came to talk to the imam. And finally, I made the decision that, okay, that's basically the religion I was searching for. Yeah, there is a direct connection to God, a direct connection to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There are clear rules which make sense. It's nothing like where you said, well, why do I have to do this, or why do I have to follow this?
Today we have a guest from Germany. His name is Chris. He is 44 years old. He converted to Islam 22 years ago. Chris is a psychological counselor. He has studied economics, behavioral psychology, and Islamic sciences. Chris grew up in Germany as a Protestant Christian, and he said that he found no closeness to God in that. At the age of 15, he resigned from the church to avoid the church tax, and he always remained interested in religion. At the age of 21, he went to Indonesia for work, and this changed his life forever. He saw Islam from the roots. He was very impressed by the deep belief that is rooted in the life of all the Muslims. He said the reason why he converted to Islam was because of the direct connection of God the religion gives. He said that he didn't take a new religion, but he completed his religion. And he says now he has found inner peace. Welcome to the show, Chris.
Yeah, thank you very much for inviting me. Nice to talk on this podcast.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for coming on. As we mentioned in the introduction, Chris has been a convert now for 22 years. But he also offers a service, life coaching, Islamic life coaching, and psychological counseling and marriage counseling. So, Chris, which one would you like to talk about first? Would you like to talk about your life coaching, or would you like to talk about your conversion to Islam?
We can basically talk about both if you want to. We can basically, maybe we start with the conversion if you want to, because actually the story is quite short, and there is not a lot of magic inside, and it's a very simple story.
Okay, so can you give us a bit of background about yourself and what was your life like before you converted to Islam?
So actually, as you mentioned already in the introduction, I'm a German national. So I was born and raised in southern Germany, in Bavaria, which maybe some of the listeners might know. Most beautiful part of Germany. Was growing up at the lake area south of Munich. Had a very, very simple childhood, let's say. I was baptized as a Protestant Christian. So my parents have been both Christians. It was actually quite simple. Grew up in a small village there, visited school up to high school, made some experience with working there. And the interesting thing is basically that none of my family members, neither my parents nor my grandparents, have been very religious people. So of course they went to church maybe one time a year on Christmas and brought me to the service there. But there was not much relation. But my grandfather was very interested in any kind of religion. So he studied a lot by himself about Christianity, about Judaism, about Islam, and he was very firm in in the Bible, and he really could tell you a lot about the Bible, a lot about biblical stories, and I was kind of fascinated about this always. What I missed when I was young was to find in the church the meaning of the religion, the closeness to God. And in the Protestant church in Germany, it's I think still like this, and it was when I was a child or a young boy, very strong. That it had to do a lot with forgiveness, and it had to do a lot of things with how to build your character. But what I was missing there was the relation to God, and my grandfather always told me that we have to rely on God and each and everything, even if he was not a religious person, but he also couldn't tell which was the perfect way. And so as most of the teenagers, I guess, in my times, I when I was 15, 16 years old, I had absolutely nothing to do with religion anymore. I basically re-signed from the church, if we could say it like this. So in Germany, there is some special thing that you are paying a church tax, and many people, they are quitting their belief because of this church tax. So they go away from the church not to pay this tax anymore. And I did this also when I was 16, 17, when I started with my first work here in Germany, not to pay these taxes. And also there was no relation to the church anymore. But I was still very much interested in religion itself. And so I also tried to read a lot and all of that stuff. And when I was 22 years, I was working here for a big company in Germany, and this company sent me to Indonesia for working. And I had no idea about Indonesia at this time, and no idea about Islam, and even not that Indonesia is the biggest Muslim country in the world. So I went there, had no idea what will come, and I was faced with Islam from the roots, let's say, in Indonesia. So I saw my colleagues who went 5 times a day for praying, who went to the mosque on Friday, and I was kind of impressed of this deep belief the people had, and of this belief rooted in the life. So not that it was not separated, you go to the mosque and then you just continue with your daily work. The people started, when they did their work, they started with Bismillah. I heard Alhamdulillah, Subhanallah all the time in the conversation, and I was deeply impressed about this. And my fellow colleagues, as I was interested, they told me about Islam, and they made, let's say, the perfect dawah without pushing me into any direction. They said, come on, go with us. You can see how we are praying. You can come to the mosque with us on Friday. Just sit on the back side of the mosque and look and listen what the imam is saying there. And I also came to talk to the imam, and finally I made the decision that, okay, that's basically the religion I was searching for. Yeah, there is a direct connection to God, a direct connection to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There are clear rules which make sense. Yeah, it's nothing like where you say, well, why do I have to do this, or why do I have to follow this? And it's basically it's a religion which is connected to life. And at this stage, I had absolutely no idea about what the meaning of deen is, what the meaning of iman is, and all of that things. So this came later in my life, and so I just started to pray, started to join going to the mosque on Friday. And then finally I met my wife in Indonesia, which is also Indonesian, and she is a Muslim. And then I converted to Islam. We got married, and so that's the story basically. And then actually my real journey to Islam began, because then the next 22 years up to now, I had to learn, I had to study, I had to find out why people are doing things like this, why others are doing it like this. And 22 years being a Muslim means that 22 years of learning, and inshallah 22 years or 44 years more of learning and understanding more about Islam.
That's awesome, Chris. So, you went to Indonesia and you got exposed to all of this Islam. But when you actually decided to go to Indonesia, did you have any feeling that you were interested in Islam before you left?
No, absolutely not. I knew nothing about Islam, let's say. So I had some experiences in Germany, but this was mostly, yeah, my parents had one good friend who was a Turkish a guy who lived here in Germany, and I knew that he was fasting in Ramadan, but it was quite of interesting because even during Ramadan he was sitting sometimes in the cafes during the day having some espresso. And then when we asked him and said, "Aren't you fasting?" he said, "Allah can't see inside." So he had always a good excuse for each and everything, and I had absolutely no contact to Islam. So I knew nothing about Islam, basically. I knew
Okay.
that it's existing, and I knew that there is a prophet, and this guy is called Muhammad, and I knew that the people are fasting and praying a lot, and that the women are wearing a hijab, and that's it.
Okay. And so your early impressions of Islam when you were a teenager and growing up in Germany, were they mainly negative and following the stereotypes of society?
No, actually not. There was actually no impression about Islam. It was for me. It was like when I was a teenager that Islam existed, but without for me being in any way interesting. There was no negative and there was no positive judgment, and there were no prejudice, nothing. What I have to mention is all of this happened before 9/11. So the situation also all over the world, I guess, was the same, that yeah, Muslim just lived. Yeah, and there was no negative effect, and there was no terrorism threats, and yeah, you knew that there is Saudi Arabia, but Saudi Arabia was more famous for oil than for Islam in my world at this time, and so that was it. There was no negative, no positive things. Let's say it was just
Okay.
neutral.
Yeah, sure. And so as you were growing up before the age of 22, did you feel any spiritual conflict or spiritual confusion about God? And were you trying to search for something?
Yeah, I was always searching to find a direct connection to God, or I was searching for an explanation. What is God? From Christianity, of course, from child on, you get this picture of this old man with the white beard sitting in the clouds. And I thought, no, this cannot be. This is all of these pictures what you see in the church when you see Jesus on the cross there, and you also learn in school then from the historical point of view, and then you learn that it was even not clear that Jesus existed, and people say that the time started with the year zero, but actually Jesus was born 4 years after or 4 years earlier. And all of this was kind of confusing me. I said, how can someone build up a religion like Christianity on all of these things which are not proven, where there's nothing where you can follow? And this is what I actually later found in Islam. Islam is a total logic religion, and you can prove each and everything. You can prove the existence of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You can prove the existence of the Sahaba and all of this. And this has kind of impressed me then later on, that what I wasn't having before. Before I was thinking I followed a religion which was man-made, not God-made.
Okay, so after Christianity, did you try any other religions besides Islam?
No, I didn't. I didn't try. Oh, what does it mean, try? I read about Buddhism. I read about Hinduism, but I didn't try it because I always thought, no, that's nothing for me. There was no connecting point where I said I should become a Buddhist now or should become a Hindu. I would say I was let's say an atheist who believed actually in God, but not in religion itself. And I didn't want to try any religions because I only knew this from church, and this was already too much. That you have the priest who is your connection to God, and I said, why do I need a connector? If God is all over you, and if God is creating the universe, and if God is so mighty, why does he need a priest to tell you what's right and what's wrong?
So I'm really interested now about your journey to Indonesia. How long did it take after you arrived in Indonesia to actually convert to Islam?
It was quite fast. It was after 6 months.
Okay.
So it really I arrived and I enjoyed the usual expat life with all the things coming, having a nice house, having parties and all of that stuff. Um, and yeah, I got in touch from the first day on with Islam, yeah, because you are waking up and beside your house you have a mosque, and at 4 o'clock in the morning you hear the azan, and you think, hey, what's going on here? Yeah, and then you hear the azan 5 times a day, and you see the people praying 5 times a day in your office. So it was from the first day on there was a contact, and then I was just interested in it, and I was asking the people, because before also I asked, when I met someone who was a Buddhist, I asked him, what's your picture of God and all of that stuff, yeah. And so then I asked my fellow colleagues, said, well, why are you doing this? Why you bow down? Why you press your forehead on the carpet? And what's the meaning of this? And why are you fasting? And why are you not allowed to eat pork? And why are you not allowed to drink alcohol? And all of that things. And so it was a kind of a natural process which went very quick.
Okay, so you say it was a natural process, but can you pinpoint what was that one thing that really impressed you, that made you convert to Islam?
The one thing, what I mentioned before already, was what really impressed me is that the religion was not separated from daily life. It was integral. The life was integrated into Islam, and Islam was integrated into life, and that's what I didn't know before. Because, as I said, for me before, religion was going one time a year to the church and getting presents for Christmas. That was basically the point, and that's the point until today, which is still impressing me, and which is always convincing me that it's the right way to obey God, and the right way to structure your life.
Okay, and did you need much convincing in other areas? For example, the belief system and things that the Muslims believed in?
I still need a lot of convincing, let's say. there is every day a new challenge coming. In the beginning, what we would call, what would we say is the Akida. This was quite easy, quite understandable. Yeah, there is no God beside God. Okay, that's okay. Then there's Muhammad is the prophet, or is the messenger of Allah. Yeah, okay. Also quite clear. Yeah, there must be someone who is conveying the message. Then there is the Quran. Which is the word of Allah. This was also quite clear. There are angels. Yeah, there is no big difference from Christianity. There in Christianity you also have angels. There are several messengers before the prophet. Yeah, this is also no problem, because you are realizing that there's a lot in common. Christianity and Islam there is a lot of things in common. Yeah? You have the fasting time in Christianity, which is a little bit different, but also it all fits together. And it was not like that I took a new religion. It's like I what is stated in the Quran. Yeah, I completed my faith, and I completed my religion. So it was not to. That's also why this to convert, maybe, let's say, is something wrong. It's an evolutionary process where you said, okay, Islam is actually the final stage where you should end up if you are a believer. Even wherever you start, actually at the end you have to come to Islam, if it's logical. And regarding things where I still ask myself, or where I still try to find out if it's right or if it's not right, is when you talk about some issues like, okay, I was asking in the beginning, why do I have to pray? Why do I have to make this certain movements during prayer? Why do I have this kind of prayers? Why do I have to follow the Sunnah? And this was making a little bit more problems, I would say, because I was always asking, and I was always bothering the people, and I always said, why? So there was not like when someone say to me, because it's standing in the Quran, and I said, okay, right, but what does it mean? Why do I have to follow it? That's also actually which brought me later on to study Islamic science, because I wanted to have answers to a lot of questions which many people could not answer, because people just said, it's like this. We do it always like this. It's Islam. It's because of Allah. It's because of Muhammad. And they said, okay, why? Where is the standing? What is the logic behind, and all of that stuff? It may be a typical German thing.
Okay, so you mentioned Islamic science. You mean like the Islamic sciences and all the different branches of that?
Yeah, it's like that you learn about the madhahib, that you learn about ulumul hadith, fiqh, and all of that things. What you need to really in depth understand Islam and to learn Arabic, to learn tajweed. To learn what are the roots of fiqh, yeah, and all of that stuff, and to learn about the seerah and this yes, as I said, it's still going on. Yeah, so understanding Islam, I think, never stops. It might stop when you are passing away, when Allah takes you away. And I hope that after this, we understand everything, inshallah.
Okay, so you said it was a quick transition. It only took 6 months for you to convert to Islam. Did you adopt some of the practices before you converted? For example, did you try to learn how to pray, and were you trying to do the prayer?
Yeah, yes, I try to do the prayer, and I try to learn the Al-Fatiha, and I try to learn Al-Ikhlas, so to have some surahs to recite during prayer, and Al-Asr. Yeah, maybe this started, so I think 3 months before I converted. So because 3 months before I really converted, I had the decision to do it. And I said, okay, then the people said, yeah, you have to learn at least how to pray, and you have to learn at least the Al-Fatiha. That you can say this. You have to learn the Shahada. Yeah, I also got some English translations of the Quran at this time. There was, of course, no German translation in Indonesia available. Which obviously, honestly speaking, when I think about this now, reading the Quran confused me more than it brought me clarification in the beginning.
Okay, and so you said after 3 months, you actually felt like you had made a decision to convert.
Okay, yeah, it was after 3 months where I said, okay, it's the right way, it's the right step.
Yeah. So can you share any of your spiritual experiences of those first 3 months? Was there something, that you can remember that really changed your heart?
No, actually not. No, there was. I never had this. I'm sometimes jealous to listen to some converts when they said they had this special moment. I never had this special moment. I never had this enlightening moment. Let's say, where I said, "Oh, now it is like this." As I said, it was a process where I said, "Okay, now you learn this, you ask this questions." And it was maybe because when I ask a question to someone, I always got the right answer, or I got the answer which I would give myself. If I was asking about the existence of Allah, then the people said, yeah, Allah is existing, and Allah it existed from ever, and He will exist ever. And then I said, hey, wow, that's actually what I want to hear. When I said, is Allah somewhere in the heavens? Said, yeah, yes, Allah is somewhere in the heaven, but we have 7 heavens, and we don't know where He is. Maybe He's outside, maybe He's inside. Yeah. So the people always gave me the right answers, and that's where I said it came over a couple of weeks that I understood and said, okay, that's the way to follow. Maybe without thinking about the consequences, I would honestly say. So it was for me like, okay, what do I have to do? I have to talk, I have to say the Shahada, and that's it. And I have to pray 5 times a day. That's it. So, and if I don't want to, I can stop it later on again. So this was basically maybe the idea. Yeah. So with 22 years, you don't think so much about the long-term consequences of a decision, maybe sometimes.
Yeah. So do you think that if you never went to Indonesia, do you think you would have converted to Islam?
Basically, this question doesn't make sense because it happened. But I understand your point. I think no. Or yeah, we never know it as a Muslim, because Allah's power is tremendous. So He could make you a Muslim wherever He wants to make you a Muslim. But my life went into this direction, that I was sent to Indonesia, that I was confronted with Islam, and that I converted to Islam.
Okay. And so many of our listeners out there are, they're thinking about becoming Muslim, and maybe they're in the situation where they can't travel and they can't get out and they can't meet Muslims. What advice would you give them to, how would they find out more about Islam?
So what I would definitely recommend to them, and this is what I also did basically, you have to, if you have a mosque somewhere close to your house, even if it's in a backyard and it looks maybe sometimes a little bit scary, go there. The people are welcoming, the people are always nice. Don't be scared. The people will answer your questions. When you start when you want to start to read the Quran, don't make the same mistake like I did. Don't start from Surah 1, start from the backside. Start from the last surah and read the Quran backwards. um, and yeah, try to get yourself through. There's nowadays what I didn't have when I was starting to embrace Islam. There is a lot of information available in the internet. There is a lot of good information available in the internet. Of course, there's also a lot of wrong information. But someone who is educated can find out what is right and what is wrong, and what is good and what is not good. So this would be basically my recommendations. Get in touch with Muslims, read the Quran, but not from Surah 1. Start from Surah 115 and read backwards. Yeah, try to get as much information as you can about, especially about the Aqidah, because don't make so much things about how to pray, how to fast. This is coming later. It's more important to understand what Islam really means, and that Islam is an upgrade.
Okay, and you mentioned to read the Quran backwards from the back. Can you explain why would you do this?
Yeah, because when you start with the Surah Al-Baqarah, which is the second surah of the Quran, the longest surah in the Quran, it's a surah which was revealed to the Prophet during the time in Medina, and it deals a lot with all of the let's say governmental issues, with all of political issues, with a lot of do's and don'ts, with a lot of things which are prohibited. Also, you will find information there about all of this, how to make war and all of that thing. But when you look at the Quran, that the surahs which have been revealed first to the Prophet, they start somewhere around Surah 76, so which is what the Muslims call Juz Amma, what we call Juz Amma, so the last juz of the Quran. And this surahs, they are dealing with the faith, they are dealing with the belief in Allah, why it is so important to believe in Allah. They are dealing with the matter of the afterlife. They are dealing with the matter of distinguishing between believers, non-believers, distinguishing between right and wrong for a Muslim. So they are containing, let's say, more the information which you need to become strong in your faith.
Yeah,
and the other things are more like, let's say, regulatory issues.
Okay, great. Thanks for clarifying that. Okay, Chris. So now, can you tell me a little bit about your day of conversion? Okay, was it planned? How did it happen?
Oh, do I still remember this? Just a second. It was very undramatic. It was also not planned in this way that I took a lot of time before. It was on a Friday, I remember, and I went to the mosque to join my fellow colleagues for Friday prayer for Salat Jumat, and then I was just thinking about now it's the right time. And after the Juma congregation, I went to my close friend and colleague and said, hey, now I would like to convert. And then, there was the Imam, there have been some colleagues. And then I said the Shahada, and that's it. And then I thought, okay, and now? And then, everyone was shouting Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. And I went back to the office and continued my work.
Excellent. And then how long did you stay in Indonesia after that?
For 1 year. And but since this time, I traveled then back frequently. So I not for private, for business. As I said, I also got married to an Indonesian a woman. So the connection was always there. So I went there, of course, for holidays, and I was still connected from business. And I had actually a job in Germany, so I was sent back to Germany, but was responsible for sales Indonesia. So I spent always a couple of weeks in Germany and then a couple of weeks in Indonesia for almost 3 years. So it was always then 50% Indonesia, 50% Germany. So I always had then contact to Indonesia again, and enjoyed this a lot because in Indonesia it was always easy to go for praying. It was always to be surrounded by Muslims. I learned a lot from my father-in-law who taught me about Akida, and I learned at the local mosque there a lot about Akida. Also got my ijazah there for Akida, and so Indonesia is still. I'm still traveling back and forth between Indonesia and Germany. So I'm living also actually in Jakarta half of the year.
Okay, so it's been around 22 years now, and I know it's a long time ago since you converted, but can you tell us how Islam has changed your life?
Totally. Islam changed my life totally. First of all, of course, you have the daily routines. You start with your prayers. You start to embrace Ramadan and to enjoy the time of Ramadan. I'm reading the Quran frequently, daily, if I can, of course. And then it changed a lot of my behavior towards others, let's say, in the beginning, because what was always interesting me a lot, or was always fascinating a lot to me, was the dimension of ethics, of akhlaq, and adab in Islam. So how to behave, how to build your character, how to educate your character. So this changed definitely a lot in my life. A lot of problems disappeared during this time. A lot of problems I had maybe before, with being not patient enough, with being also maybe too pushy in some things. So when I was a young guy, I was always trying to push my interests through. And then, of course, after learning that Allah is ruling out everything what you are doing, and you have actually not such a big choice if Allah doesn't want to. I became a lot of more patient, and this is something which helped me a lot. And what else? It shaped my way of working. That I also worked more in the Islamic sector. Let's say, work more with my faith as a psychological counselor for Muslims. Of course, you are going into different dimensions because Islam is also, it's not only my life, it's also my job, let's say.
Okay. And you mentioned that it changed your behavior towards others. Can you give some examples of those?
More forgiving. I would say I'm more forgiving, more merciful in a certain way. That before I was when there was someone disturbing me, bothering me, I try to avoid these people, try to go away for these people, or even fight against these people, not physically, but to push my interests through, and this actually disappeared. It's more like that I got more inner peace. I think this is the most important dimension. It's an outside effect of an inside change. If you are more in peace with yourself, if you are more balanced within yourself, you also start to behave differently towards others.
Okay, Chris. Okay, thanks for sharing that story. So now let's talk a little bit about your life coaching work that you do, the psychological counseling and the marriage counseling.
Yeah, sure.
Tell us about what you're doing there.
Yeah, I started a couple. I was let's say 10 years ago. I was making an education or study as a psychological counselor here in Germany. Basically, not from the Islamic point of view. It was more like that. I was very much interested in psychology and in behavioral sciences, and a couple of years ago, I think it was 5 years ago, I did already coachings, cross-cultural coachings. I helped expats, for example, going to Indonesia to learn about what they have to do, what they should avoid in Indonesia. And also did some leadership coaching here in Germany, trainings for character development and all of that stuff. And some 5 years ago, I think it was 5 years ago, yeah, must be around 2015, 2016. I was asking myself always, what can I take actually from my belief, from my deen, and connect it with psychology. And then I was actually also taking the Quran again, taking the Sunnah again as a best reference we have. And I was checking out, said, is there something said about psychological issues? And of course, you don't have so much things inside there, but if you're investigating it more and more, then of course you realize how much faith is connected to the psychological and sociological development of a person. And it came also in the time where many people started here in Germany with having burnout, with having too much stress and so on. And I always could avoid this stress feelings because of my faith. So I always found the time to relax and the time to slow down by reading the Quran and by embracing Islamic values. And then I talked to some Muslim friends as well, and I also realized they have the same problems. I said, okay, when you're going to a psychological counselor here, to a psychologist, are you happy with them? Because I knew that especially in Germany, the education is very much driven by, let's say, humanistic thoughts, which is actually very good. But the psychological counseling here in Europe, they leave religion completely out of the focus. Some even they regard religion as disturbing in a healing process. And I said, this cannot be, because as a Muslim, I cannot separate my psychological well-being and my religious well-being, my spiritual well-being. I have to connect this. And that's where I started to counsel brothers and sisters when they had problems. Started with people having stress, started where people said, I want to develop into a certain direction, want to take a new job, or where people had a situation that someone passed away, they needed some support. And so that's where we start, or I started with Muslim Coach. Now I'm doing this with a colleague together. What I'm trying to do is to close the gap, let's say, it's between psychologists and imams. Because I also realized this, that an imam is having, of course, a very good education in the religious system, but lacks many times of psychological know-how and psychological or sociological know-how and tools. And so we are trying to close this gap. And that's what Muslim Coach is basically doing. So it's psychological counseling. It's also life coaching for various situations. And last year or 2 years ago, we included the marriage counseling, because that's something we also don't have in Germany. So for people listening in the United States, this model, I think, exists in the United States already a couple of years longer. In the UK, I also have some colleagues who are doing this. And we are trying to do this here for the German market, or for the German-speaking market.
Okay, so tell me a bit about Islam in Germany at the moment. How popular is it? And most of the people you help are from Germany?
In Germany we have a very interesting situation. As you might know, in the 60s, 70s, Germany took a lot of people as guest workers from foreign countries, that's mainly European countries. And there has been a huge amount of Turkish people coming to Germany in the 60s and 70s. Basically, they have been invited as guest workers, so the government thought that they will leave one time again. But these people, of course, if you have a good job here, yeah, and then you bring your family here, you stay in the country where you have a good income and where you can have a good life. And now we have the situation that we have almost 5 million Muslims in Germany. There is no official figure because when you are registering somewhere, you have not to mention your religion. It's not mandatory in Germany. But there are estimations of around 5 million Muslims in Germany. Many of them are descendants of these guest workers, but now already in the second or third generation. So growing up in born in Germany, growing up in Germany, visiting German schools, and have developed their own Islam, let's say their German version of Islam. The number of converts or reverts is very small, I would say. It's maybe around 100 to 200,000 people all over Germany. To say about the popularity of Islam in Germany, Islam is a lot in the media in Germany, but not in a positive way, or it was the last couple of years until we got struck by Corona. Now Corona is dominating the news, but the last couple of years there was a strong focus on the Muslim community in regards to being scared of terrorism, being scared of what you have in other European countries as well, Islamization of Europe, which is absolutely nonsense. So you have a very vital a Muslim society in Germany, which is completely culturally mixed. So there are converts, there are people from a Turkish background, people from North African background, former Yugoslavia. So of course, during the war in Serbia, Bosnia, there have been a lot of refugees coming to Germany. Now, the last years, since 2015, a lot of refugees from Syria. So we have a very, very good mix here. So you get Turkish Islam, you get Arab Islam, you get North African Islam. It's very interesting, very funny. I myself, when I go for Friday prayers, there is a mosque, a Somali mosque. We have Indonesians, of course, living here in Germany, studying here in Germany, having their own mosques here. So you can, if you want to, you can go every Friday to a different cultural background mosque, let's say, and see how they are practicing Islam and see how colorful basically also Islam is.
Okay, and with the people that you help there in Germany, how do you meet them and how do you conduct your service? Is it online or do they come to your office?
It's primarily online. So of course, yeah, we are doing a lot of things in the internet, Instagram, Facebook, having a homepage where the people can get a lot of information, inshallah, and can also contact us. And as I'm located in Munich, and let's say most of the Muslims, the majority of Muslims is living in the central, western central part of Germany, North Rhine-Westphalia. We do a lot of things online, telephone, Skype, Zoom, whatever. Of course, due to Corona, even more, only actually online at the moment. For the marriage counseling, if it's here in Munich, we do it face to face because it's very important to have the couple in front of you. But also now in the last couple of months, we did it online, which also fantastically works. And yeah, let's say it's all done online now at the moment.
Okay. And for those people out there who are not yet Muslim, how would your service help them to become Muslim?
Basically not. We have this many times that we are getting approached by people and they are asking us about Islam, and we also set up a couple of years ago a series where we said, okay, we want to give people information about Islam, but we stopped it because it was a lot of work to do, and we obviously didn't have enough time to make this in a good quality and make this on a long term. So if people are contacting us, I would always tell them, hey, great, good that you are asking. From which city are you coming? And then I'm trying to connect them to people I know I can trust, connect them to mosques, connect them to Islamic societies, give them some reliable information from the internet, give them some, especially, for example, if they are searching for certain fatwas, or if they want to learn about Islam, and then they are confused about the information which is available on the internet, I can tell them, go to this institute. They are following a very a strict line, or this institute they are not following so strict, or they are following this kind of school, or they are coming from this association. So this is basically what we are trying to do. We are not getting contacted so much by people who want to convert. We get contacted by people who converted already to Islam and are, let's say, left alone with their belief, to help them to build up a solid iman.
Okay, so let's talk about that. So someone who was a new revert, someone new to Islam, and how would they benefit by using you as a Muslim coach?
They would basically benefit when they start, for example, with let's take just a daily problem. Let's say that they are absolutely stressed. They have too much problems in their job, which maybe is also coming from converting to Islam. So they have problems maybe to explain their bosses in the company that they want to pray 5 times a day. We can help them to find the right way to communicate this, to find a proper way without insulting someone, without making yourself too small or too big, without causing problems for you, for example, to learn about the communication. Or if people have any kind of psychological disorders, psychological problems, and they don't want to go to a psychologist because they think this person doesn't understand them due to Islam, they can come to us and we can help them. So that's a very good way. Or what we had in the last couple of years, we had a lot of webinars where we talked about issues like stress relief, where we talked about issues like how to train mindfulness with the support of Islam. And this is what people, for example, they can view this online, can join this webinars, and can learn about, let's say, life skills in connection with their faith.
Okay, great. Thanks for that. Anything else you'd like to share about your service?
No, basically that's it. Maybe the thing is that for the English speaking community, our services are, let's say, kind of limited because we are, as I said, we are mostly focused on the German speaking market. So also our homepage, there is an English version existing, but that's actually said, okay, German is our mother tongue, and if there is someone speaking German, people from Switzerland, people from Austria, people from Germany, of course, we welcome them. We also help people on an international basis, but in many ways, it's very important if you are coming, for example, from the US. We had a lot of requests coming from the US, interestingly, that it's better maybe to search for a counselor, Islamic counselor in the US, because also the culture plays a very important role. And of course, we understand German culture. We understand many of the cultures which we are facing, like Turkish culture, Moroccan culture, and all of that stuff. But it's always good to have someone to talk to, first of all, who is having the language as a mother tongue, which is always very important for a counselor, I guess, that this person is able to find the right words, and also to have someone who is culturally close to you. And that's always the best way to search for support.
Yeah, okay, thanks, Chris. Thanks for that. So we'll put all your details into the show notes if anyone's interested in trying to find out more information about you.
Yeah, sure, this would be great. And if people would like to contact us, we are answering each and every email. So and we are trying to do the best. And even if we cannot help, we have now, in the last couple of years, we built up a big network internationally of coaches, where we know how people are working. I have colleagues in Canada, colleagues in Jordan, not yet, in Australia also not yet. But inshallah, this will come because the demand for this kind of coaches and counselors is actually very big, and it's internationally very big because we are all facing the same problems.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Okay, so Chris, this will be the last question that I have for you today. For all our listeners out there, the ones that are thinking about becoming Muslim, can you give your advice on, what they should do, the do's and don'ts, and how they should move forward?
Start with the Shahada, and before saying the Shahada in front of people, analyze what it means. So it's always actually very simple to become a Muslim, because people just say, you just have to say the Shahada in front of two witnesses. But what does it mean? What does Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah actually mean? What does it mean for your life? What does it mean for your belief, for your picture you have from God? Try to read a lot. This is the most important thing. Islam is a religion of knowledge. It was always a religion of knowledge. It starts with the first words revealed to the Prophet Muhammad, which is Iqra, recite, read. It continues in the Quran. Islam is a religion which you can learn the rest of your life. It fulfills your life. It makes you a lot of stronger in whatever situation you are. Try to ask always, if you are hearing something that people tell you, you have to do it like this, you have to do it like this. Try to be critical. There are a lot of people out there who are trying to preach something wrong, who are trying to preach something which is too hard. Islam is a religion which Allah has made easy for us. Allah is making everything easy for us. Don't make it too complicated. If you cannot pray perfectly in the beginning, start with it, and Allah will, inshallah, as we say, guide you to become a good Muslim, to become a better Muslim, and to learn each and everything. That's the most important. So, just go ahead, start with it. Once you are on the path to discover Islam, you will definitely not leave it, because you will always get the right answers.
Okay, Chris, thanks for that advice, and thanks for coming on the show as well. Really appreciate it.
Thank you very much for inviting me. It was really a pleasure.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Okay, Chris, so I'll have to leave it there. I wish for the peace and blessings of God to be upon you, and onto all our listeners out there. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.